Today's shout out goes to Erica Ryan S3I. Thank you so much for your comment. I really like reading all those comments, and if you like a shout out in a video, all you have to do is leave a comment. That could have been you. Hi everyone and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing my annual fancy schmancy lens drawing. This is my 8th year doing this, which is super exciting but also a little crazy that I've been doing this for that long. This year I'm also going to be redrawing this drawing of my OC Khamier, and I'm going to be adding another OC who I'm working on developing, so if you would like to see that, definitely stick around. But before we get into all of that, I would like to say thank you so much to everyone who was super supportive on my last video. If you missed that one, I'm gonna put it in the iCards, but basically I'm posting a year-long art challenge. So far it's going nice, so that's gonna be in the iCards. Link to the Discord server for that is in the description. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this video. So the first drawing that I'm showing is of my OC Lence. This is technically the last drawing that I did in this little series. This was also my second attempt at this drawing. Here's how the first one turned out. I wasn't satisfied with how I rendered everything and the colors that I used, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to redo it and make something that I'm proud of, especially since this is like a reoccurring art challenge that I've been doing, like I said, for 8 years. So I kind of wanted to get it right, and I'm glad that I decided to redo it because I like this version a lot better. I like the colors, and I think this is also the first time I've drawn him in this style with his hair down, which is a teeny bit of a challenge. I don't really like rendering hair that much, which is something I'm going to be working on in my art challenge for one of the months where you can just choose what you want to draw. I want to get better at rendering hair, which I think this was a good start. Like, I feel like I did a pretty decent job with the rendering on this one, but I definitely had a lot of help. I used one of the hair brushes on Procreate, which definitely helped a lot. It's really crazy that I've been doing this for 8 years. It doesn't feel like it's been 8 years. The first few drawings, I think from 2018 to 2022, were done on SAI. That used to be my primary drawing program. First it was Photoshop, then it was SAI, and after I got the iPad, I've just been working with Procreate exclusively, and I love Procreate. It's so convenient to be able to just draw on the iPad instead of pulling out my graphics tablet, even though I did like that as well when I was working that way, but I do kind of prefer the iPad. I feel like there's been a bit of a learning curve with drawing this style in Procreate over SAI. Some of the blending tools in SAI I felt were maybe a little bit easier to use, but since I've been using Procreate for I think 3 years now, I've definitely gotten better at using it, so much so that I even made a tutorial on how to get started on Procreate. So I feel like I've gotten my bearings at this point. So this year I felt a little less clumsy when I was drawing this. This is not a style that I typically use. I really just use it once or twice a year for this challenge. Right before I drew this little series of drawings, I started using the medium hard blend brush, and I was like, oh my goodness, why haven't I been using this? Using that brush definitely helped with the rendering this time around. Normally I just use the hard airbrush, which is obviously a little hard, and it's not a blending brush, so you know what, that might have been a skill issue on my part for not using a brush that was for blending and then complaining about the blending. That one's on me. Overall, I really like this drawing. I even added like some acne. Last year's I had acne scars, but this year's like, you know what, I'm gonna actually try to draw acne, and I think it turned out pretty decent. I really like how this turned out. I love his hair, I love the colors, and I definitely think it's one of the stronger years, of course, because it's a newer one. Just as a reminder, here's what the old ones look like, and this is how the new one turned out. Like I said, really love it. Definitely one of my favorite years. However, I am really curious to see which year is your favorite, so feel free to let me know in the comments. Next up, we have my OC Khamier. I skipped my fancy drawing of him last year, partly because I was just lazy. I started it. This is what that looked like. Honestly, I got to the point where it was time for me to render the clothes and the hair, and I was like, you know what, I don't have to do it this year. And I didn't. So I am really glad that I pushed myself to actually draw it this year, and I really like how this one turned out. I also kind of aged him up a little bit from the original drawing. As a reminder, here's what that was. In the original, he was not supposed to look so young, but he ends up looking like a little dude. Like, I would say maybe preteen, early teens is what he looks like there. So here he's He's like 15, 16, I guess. I was a little bit aggressive with the shading, so at times during the rendering process he was looking a little older. And I ended up putting it away for a little while and coming back to it and just really smoothing some things out so he wouldn't look so much older, which I'm glad I did. I remember being so proud of the original drawing, and I still do like it a lot, but I can, since it's been 2 years since I drew it, I can look back at it and kind of see a lot of things that I would do differently. One thing I would like to work on this year is getting a little better with my values. Sometimes I don't push the values as much as I feel like I could, which is something that I was working on while I was doing these drawings. However, I think I'm definitely going to have to sit down at some point this year and actually focus in on values and color theory and stuff, which is going to be a prompt later on in the year for the art challenge. I really like how I rendered his clothes in particular. That's something I also don't enjoy doing, which is why I never finished the drawing from last year, so I'm really proud of myself for pushing through and rendering clothes in a way that I think looks really cool. Whenever I do this style, I typically render over top of the line art in flat colors, and because of that, sometimes some of the details get lost, or just some of the things I'll just forget that I had intended to include them in the drawing. So for this drawing, he was supposed to have his little necklace. It has like a little clay pendant on it, and I forgot that I was supposed to be doing that. And by the time I finished it, I was like, you know what, I don't feel like going back and drawing that, so I didn't. I kind of don't mind that I didn't include it though, because the actual little pendant part you couldn't see anyway because of the composition of this drawing, so I don't think it matters that much. Anyways, this is how the drawing turned out. I really like it. It's my second favorite out of this batch. I think Lence is my first favorite. Next up, we have an old OC from an old video that I posted, I think in 2020. Oh my gosh, it just hit me just now that it's been 5 years since 2020. That's crazy. Oh my god. Anyways, I did a video. Oh my god. I did a video back in 2020 where I wanted to draw like some black Padawans, but in like fancy little outfits and stuff. This is one of the characters that I came up with for that video. I can't remember if I gave him a name back then, but right now I am undecided. I don't know what I want to name this character. I think for a brief period I was calling him Kai, and for another brief period I was calling him Cole. I don't know. He doesn't really look like either of those names, so we're gonna have to think on that one. During the rendering process, I couldn't decide on how old I wanted this character to be. At some points I was like, you know, he's gonna be a little older. At other points I was like, maybe not. I do want him to be like Khamier's master. I forgot to mention this earlier if you're new here. Khamier is a Star Wars OC, and for the past few years I've been trying to figure out, do I want him to be a Jedi or not? And I think I finally decided I do want him to be a Jedi, and this character here would be his Jedi master while he's a Padawan. So I still have to give this character a name. Kai doesn't feel right. Cole doesn't really feel right. He doesn't really look like a Cole, I don't think. I definitely want to work on this character's design a little bit more and really get an established design going, because I didn't do any sketches of this character beforehand. I kind of just jumped right in and kind of just did something, you know, which sometimes you just gotta do stuff. I also struggled a little bit with the values on this one. At one point he was looking really flat, and I think the end result kind of still looks a little flat, but I don't think it's that bad. I am really excited to finally learn how to properly do values later on in the year though, so that's gonna be great. But anyways, this is how that drawing turns out. I really like it, love the colors. I'd really like to know which one of the 3 drawings that I shared today are your faves. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Shout out to my patrons, Merriment Illustrations, Sister55, and Kelsey. Thank you so much for being my patrons. I really appreciate you and everything you do. Wow, oh my goodness. Here are a few more videos that I think you would like. Links to my social media, including my Patreon, Instagram, Discord, and my Etsy shop are in the description. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.